Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026, and I call this meeting of the Senate Elections Committee to order. We do have a quorum present. I want to welcome the audience to the Minnesota State Elections Committee. We appreciate your interest and participation in the legislative process. To ensure everyone can view, hear, and understand today's proceedings, we ask for your cooperation in maintaining decorum and civility throughout this hearing. For the safety, security, and comfort of all attendees, please note the following guidelines. As the acting chair of the Elections Committee, my job is to make sure our committee runs smoothly and efficiently and to ensure we are able to complete our business each time we meet. My job is also to establish expectations around conduct during our hearing as follows. Signs and placards are not permitted in the hearing room. Verbal outbursts, shouting, or disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Applause or other audible demonstrations are not allowed. For safety reasons, everyone must be seated. No standing, sitting, or pacing in walkways or aisles will be allowed, nor standing or obstructing proceedings at your seat. However, if you do require a reasonable accommodation, please speak with our sergeant staff for assistance with your needs. Sergeant-at-Arms are here to ensure everyone's safety. Testifiers have signed up in advance and have been provided with a time limit for their testimony. Please adhere to these time limits so that all of our testifiers have the opportunity to share their thoughts and so that we can keep our meeting on time. If time runs out, I will ask you to wrap up your remarks. Before and after the committee, please talk to a sergeant if you want to talk to a senator or a member of our staff instead of approaching the committee table. The sergeant will let us know. If these guidelines are not followed, I will provide a warning and ask that decorum be restored. After that, ongoing failure to comply may result in removal from the hearing room. Our goal is to conduct these proceedings efficiently while ensuring everyone the opportunity to observe and participate appropriately and to maintain decorum. One other item I'd like to note, except for authors' amendments, we will have roll calls for all votes since we have members participating remotely. There are 4 items on the agenda today, and the very first item on our agenda is my Senate File 4734 regarding I voted stickers. So I will ask Senator Boldon to take the gavel.
Senator Westlin, when you are settled and ready, you may tell us about Senate File 4734.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This is going to probably be the funnest bill that we have this year. So I will do a brief introduction. Every year around the election, voters show off their civic pride online and in person by wearing their I voted stickers. While Minnesota has the standard I voted sticker, some have noticed that many states have unique stickers derived from local or statewide contests. Senate File 4734 allows the Secretary of State, county auditors, municipal clerks, and school district clerks to hold competitions to create new designs for the I voted sticker. Designs may include images, but can only include the words I voted. Any images must not advocate for or against any political party, candidate, ballot question, or other public policy issue. Senate File 4734 was brought to Representative Vernig and me by a student who is with us here today from St. Anthony Village High School, Matria Reeder, and she is going to tell you more about her bill and her idea. So introduce yourself.
Ms. Reeder, please introduce yourself and begin.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Senators. My name is Matria Reeder. I am a resident of Northeast Minneapolis, and I am a senior at St. Anthony Village High School. I'm also a very civically involved member of my community. Every year, I attend the YMCA's Youth in Government program in the state capitol. I am the 2025 recipient of the John Lewis Youth Leadership Award by Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon, and I have testified within and passed bills through the state legislature before. But this exploration of politics that has led my decision to pursue a related career was only made possible by the civic opportunities available to me as a young person. This bill, Senate File 4734, would allow the state I voted sticker to be changed at the state, county, municipal, or school district level for potential youth design competitions, engaging young people with politics at an appropriate level. It may also, especially in more local instances such as school board elections, foster voter turnout among parents and friends. This is a practice in many U.S. states, including Michigan, West Virginia, North Dakota, and Illinois. A county in New York State that recently implemented youth design competitions reported that they received overwhelmingly positive feedback from their residents, with many voters saying that their favorite part about casting their ballot was receiving the unique sticker at the end. And I would also like to stress that for those who value the original sticker design in the name of tradition, this bill allows for the change to be implemented only at the local level if desired, meaning that your school board election stickers could be designed by a local 6th grader, but when you vote for the president in the general elections, it may also be the original red and white. Additionally, being raised in Minneapolis, I grew up recognizing art as this great unifier of people across differences. And throughout Minnesota, we have this strong artistic culture. Think the murals in downtown or the seed art at the state fair. And we also have this great culture of political engagement, leading the country in voter turnout year after year. And to merge these two central strengths and bring elements of art to our elections, especially for our youth, is paramount to fostering a creative and civically engaged community that we pride ourselves on. Particularly in a time where politics may seem scary to our younger citizens, bringing a positive connotation to voting is absolutely crucial. And with that, I strongly urge you to support Senate File 4734. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Westlin, anything else before we move to questions?
I can't say anything better or more than Ms. Reeder said.
Very good. Members, questions or amendments? Senator Curran.
Madam Chair, Senator Westlin, I think in our testimony you did an excellent job. Sorry, Senator Westlin, in our testimony you did a very good job. Life is so good that we're going to redesign a sticker. What I don't see is Senator Westlin. Not sure if you carried that. We were going to mail stickers out to everybody who voted by mail too. Not in this bill, but I would think over the last 3 years we've heard that bill as well. The only thing I worry about is it'd be great, but today our local municipalities, most of them aren't going to want to go out and print their own. They just want the standard stock, and I assume this doesn't prevent them. But what I worry about is the political ideology embedded in everything. There are no nonpartisan people, and none of these things will be equally partisan. And so that's what I worry about. Selection of color, right? Even today, I'm shocked that we can still use red because it has some political connotation. And so those are the things that I worry about because it's embedded in everything we do. And so under a great idea, and I think there's so many great things that people could do with it, but I'm not sure that, that we can legislate out the political ideologies driving those just in basic color selection, right? Or the shapes and colors associated with it. So I'm concerned, but it is a great recognition that life is very, very good here. Madam Chair, I don't know where, I assume this might be considered for or laid over for possible consideration.
This bill will be laid over.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Senator Westlin. And by the way, Tessray, you did a very good job. So stay involved, stay active, and we'll look forward to a future leader there. So
Thank you.
Yep.
Senator Westlin.
Madam Chair, so I will say that I have seen some of the other designs from other states. One of them was a fish. I'm thinking walleye, but one of the reasons why doing this on a local level too is there might be something unique to a particular community, and you know, it gives the kids in particular an opportunity to do a design that then they will see people wearing around. And so I hear you, I'm less cynical than you, and I just think this is a great idea. We've had the same sticker for a long time, and some of the other designs, I'm sure if you Google it, you can see some of the other designs. They're actually very unique, and they may be unique to that area and that region. So this is actually the second student proposal that I have brought forward in the legislature. The other one was the service learning bill in Ed Finance that actually passed. And so whenever I have the opportunity to carry a bill that's an idea from one of our bright young leaders, it's always a thrill to do so.
Senator Swedzinski.
This is the third time, I believe, I've had the pleasure of listening to Ms. Reeder deliver testimony in the legislature. And I agree with Senator Coran that your future is very bright, and we hope to see you here someday sitting on this side of the aisle, because I really truly believe that that's going to be the case. And being a traditional guy, the red and white sticker is kind of near and dear to me, but the hope of getting young people excited about this process and getting them more civically engaged is always dear to my heart as well. So as we move forward on this, it's exciting, and thank you for bringing this bill to us.
Thank you.
All right, well, I would just will say thank you for bringing this bill. I think, agree, if there are ways we can get more people, especially young people, engaged and excited and, inject a little fun. I'm, envisioning in Rochester, I would like to see a corn cob voting sticker. I'm not going to explain that. If you're from Rochester, you know. I think there's opportunities there. And so thank you for bringing this bill. Any closing comments?
No, Madam Chair, we're gonna lay this over, and we're gonna try and get this over the finish line. I just think it's a fun bill. Just to note, over in Wisconsin, Kenosha and Milwaukee apparently have stickers involving cheese and cows, and I figure we can do better than that. So thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you, Senator Westlin. Senate File 4734 will be laid over for possible inclusion in a future omnibus, and I will pass the gavel back to Chair Westlin.
Okay, our next bill is Senate File 4552, Senator Boldon, regarding Rochester School Board elections. I understand that you have an A1 authors amendment to get your bill in the shape that you'd like it in. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right. Senator Boldon moves her A1 authors amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The A1 authors amendment is adopted. Senator Boldon, to your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will say the amendment that we adopted, thank you for that, was some technical assistance from council to sort of get it in the shape in which we would like. So thank you for hearing this bill. I will start by saying that this bill is specific to the city of Rochester and the Rochester School Board elections. Rochester Public Schools currently operates under a very unique alley system of elections established in law back in the 70s. And currently, it is only Rochester who does this, and one other city, Alexandria in Minnesota, who do it this way. Most school districts use the at-large standard. About 95% of school districts across Minnesota do it that way. Another method of doing it is geographic districts. This alley system, I will say, is confusing. It is confusing to voters, and it creates, challenges. It allows candidates to challenge a single board member. So every seat represents the entire district, but they're labeled as individual seats, and people choose which seat to run for. And so, because of the sort of uniqueness of this and the confusion of it, there has been a desire to move to a system as 95% of other cities do it this way. And so there was community engagement. I want to give credit to the school board for doing that engagement, to listening to voters, listening to folks in the community who have asked for this to be a more clear system. They have taken action as a school board. This has unanimous support. I will also note it has unanimous support from all of the entire Rochester delegation in both bodies on both sides of the aisle. Senator Nelson was going to join me in presenting this bill today, but is presenting a different bill in a different committee, so is not able to be here, but is on the bill and supportive of the bill. So everyone sort of locally who is connected to this is supportive of it. There is no opposition. And so so would ask for member support so we can move to a less confusing system that everyone desires. And with that, do have some testifiers, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that. And I do see that we have Justin Cook on Zoom from the Rochester Public Schools and is a school board member. Mr. Cook, if you want to come online or off mute and go ahead with your testimony, please introduce yourself first.
Absolutely. Chair Westlin, members of the committee, my name is Justin Cook. I am proud to serve on the Board of Education of Rochester Public Schools, Independent School District 535. I'm a member of the board's legislative committee and am here in that capacity. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and a special thank you to the bill's authors for bringing this forward on our district's behalf. I'm here to strongly urge your support for this legislation. As you've just heard, it would repeal the effect of a 1974 special law that forces Rochester Public Schools to use an antiquated alley system for our at-large elections. And for those unfamiliar, this system requires that each of our at-large seats are treated as a distinct parallel contest, even though all board members represent the exact same constituents and hold identical responsibilities. Candidates are forced to file for a specific numbered seat. The system is highly confusing. As any member of Rochester's board will tell you, during campaigns, candidates find themselves constantly explaining the mechanics of this bizarre election system to voters, often at the expense of discussing substantive education issues. Worse, this system distorts the will of the electorate. Voters are frequently forced to arbitrarily choose between two preferred candidates who happen to file for the same seat, while simultaneously being forced to select from a pool of candidates they prefer less, or even an unchallenged candidate who happen to file for another seat. This bill corrects these issues by ensuring that our at-large elections are simply governed by Minnesota's standard election law. On March 3rd, Rochester's school board unanimously passed a resolution calling for this precise change. Before voting, we deliberately tabled the matter at a previous meeting to invite public feedback. Despite multiple stories in the local news, not a single person has come forward to defend the current system, which itself is remarkable. As all of you will surely appreciate, the status quo always has someone to defend it, but in this case it does not. The change called for by this bill is unanimously supported by our board, by the Rochester legislative delegation, and will better serve our voters. This is all upside. It aligns Rochester with the standard election framework used statewide. It reduces ballot confusion. It costs the state absolutely nothing, and it is completely nonpartisan. We respectfully ask that you support this bill. Thank you, Chair Westlin and committee members, for your time and for your service to Minnesota.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I think that was the only testifier we had. So let's open it up for any member questions or discussion. Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think I heard in the testimony that it goes back to 1970s. So what was the reason or rationale it was put into place to begin with?
Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is a good question. I don't know. I could not answer that. It has, I'm sure was a reason. That reason does not apply now, as nobody, as has been shared, is wanting to continue it this way. As I said, it is Rochester and Alexandria are the only two cities who do it this way. I can't speak to the original driver.
Mr. Cook, do you happen to have any background information as to why it's been done this way?
Well, yes, Chair Westlin, as I mentioned, the board has not been able to identify a single person that is in favor of retaining this system. According to local news coverage, or archived news coverage, I should say, from 1973 or 1974, there was at least some desire to prevent people from voting for, if the election is to vote for up to 4 or vote for up to 3, depending on how many positions are up for election in a given cycle, there was a desire to prevent people from voting for only one rather than voting, bubbling in 3 names or 4 names. And this was a scourge that was described as bullet voting, which is not something I have any contemporary familiarity with. It really would amount to the same thing as just not voting in certain contests, which of course is possible. As best we can tell, that was the motivation, but I haven't been able to identify anyone with a present recollection of what those concerns were. That's just from the local news reporting.
Senator Lucero?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I appreciate that attempt to come up with that answer. When it comes to any law, and Senator Boldon and I, we even recently discussed this in the Housing Committee, when we're examining potentially changing an existing statute, when considering that potential change, I always like to know what was the rationale that it was there. What were the conditions that existed at the time for the legislature to enact such a statute? In this case, I don't know if there's any legislative history, but it is interesting that this would have been enacted at the state level for something like this. So again, curious what would have been going on, why would it have risen to the legislative level to enact this in a statute to hence even bring you here today to do this. But anyway, don't think we're going to get an answer today, but I appreciate the testifier's interest in trying to get that answer. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And I guess for whatever the reason was in the 70s, it sounds like the community would like to do it differently, and it appears to have bipartisan support from the legislators in the area. So I don't know, it is an interesting historical fact that maybe we can find out what the reason is. Senator?
Thank you. Actually, one more question then. You mentioned the other school district. Would this legislation impact both? And has there been conversations with the other? Would we potentially want to change both, or at least make it a may and not a shall?
Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this would only impact Rochester. I have not heard anything, as this bill has been out and about, I've not heard anything from the representatives from Alexandria that they want to do anything different. I don't know that they have had any engagement in their community to want to do anything different. Happy to have a conversation if they do, but this is coming, this would be specific to Rochester because the engagement has been done in the community. The action has been taken by the school board. There is, as I said, bipartisan and support and in both chambers. Everyone related to this is in support of it, which I assume was, in thinking back to, why was action taken in the 70s, I assume it was also brought from the community at that time to say, hey, we want to do this, and required legislative support to do that. And so, now we're doing the reverse, that the community is saying this is what we want to do, and so would ask for support for that.
Thank you. I think it's Senator Westrum's district up there, so maybe that's just a conversation. If that's something that their community wants to do, I think this committee would be open to doing that as well. Any other comments, questions? We are laying this bill over. Okay. Thank you very much. Any final concluding remarks, Senator?
No, other than just, again, there's no downside to this, and appreciate the consideration of the committee.
All right, the bill is laid over for possible inclusion in an omnibus. All right, the next item on our agenda is Senate File 3627, Senator Boldon. I think this bill was previously heard in committee. So at this point, okay, sorry. Yep, so we did, okay, so we did hear this bill in committee. We laid it over, and at this time, Senator Boldon is making a motion to move this bill, Senate File 3627, and be recommended to pass and sent to the floor. Is that your motion, Senator?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Is there any conversation about the motion? Okay. Senator Boldon moves that Senate File 3627 be recommended to pass and sent to the floor. All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Senator Boldon. So I know that Ms. Frazier sent out some information about our work today on the Elections Policy Omnibus Bill. As some of you may be aware, we have been trying as best we can to coordinate with the other body to try to figure out how we are moving bills this year, and I will simply say that that has been a little bit of a moving target. We originally had planned to use Senate File 4006 as our vehicle bill. That is stuck in Ways and Means in the House. So we are instead going to be using 4223, which is the Elections Policy Omnibus Bill. We know that has passed in the House, so we are going to use that as our vehicle. What we're going to do today is we do have the A5DE amendment. It was posted earlier today. We're going to have a walkthrough of it, but we won't discuss the bill or go through it in detail until Thursday. We're going to take testimony and action at that hearing, so that will give actually more time for folks to look through it. And again, I just say that things have been a little bit of a moving target this year in trying to figure out what our friends in the other body are doing and how they're moving things. So we did have to make a change yesterday to the bill that we're using as a vehicle. So at this point, I am going to ask Ms. Stengel to do a walkthrough of the A5 amendment, and then after we are done with that, we will lay this over until Thursday, and again, that will give everybody an opportunity to look through it, and we can have a more thorough discussion on Thursday. Ms. Stengel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll be walking through the A5 amendment, and I'll go through at a high level since it's made up of bills that we've heard, and I will point out any changes that have been made to the bills since the committee has laid them over. So starting with Article 1 on page 1, Section 1, this comes from Senate File 4223, which is a Westlin bill, which I'll refer to as the board admin bill. I should back up. Article 1 relates to the campaign finance and fair campaign practices policy. So Section 1 is from the board admin bill. It amends the definition of metropolitan government unit. Section 2 on page 1 amends requirements for principal reports. Section 3 on page 2 establishes disclaimers for lobbying material. There's one change here. There are 2 paragraphs that have been consolidated from how the committee last saw it, and that's because the disclaimer size was the same for 2 different sizes of signs, so it's just been consolidated into 1 paragraph. So the substance is the same, even though there's fewer words. Section 4 on page 3 combines sections from both the board bill and Senator Boldon's 3823, which is the local statements of economic interest. And so in merging those 2 sections, there were some changes. So neither one looks quite the same when you look at it in the bill, but the effect is to expand the requirements to disclose a potential conflict of interest to public officials or local officials elected to or appointed by a political subdivision. Section 5 on page 4 makes conforming changes about disclosures of potential conflicts of interest, and it's both from the Westlin and Boldon bills. Section 6 on page 4 is from the Boldon local EIS bill and adds local officials to the statute on disclosure of representation of clients. Section 7 on page 5 is again from the board admin bill and the Boldon local EIS bill. And this amends the statute on time for filing amendments of economic interest. And this adds in public officials and local officials in political subdivisions. And in merging the 2, there were some changes from how either appeared in their original bills. Section 8 on page 5 requires the Secretary of State and agencies to provide contact information to the board for people who are required to file an EIS. There were a couple of changes here. One is to require that the information about candidates come from the affidavit of candidacy. And previously there was a sentence that said data retains its classification when it's moved from one place to the other. And that sentence is redundant because it's already covered by the Data Practices Act. Section 9 on page 6 comes from the admin bill. This makes a conforming change in the timeline for the filing of original statements of economic interest. And again, this merges the admin bill with the Boldon EIS bill. And there are some changes here from the merger from how both original bills appeared. And the same for section 10, it merges those same 2 bills. And this modifies the place of filing statements of economic interest and adds in the political subdivisions. Section 11 on page 6 adds local candidates to the section on prohibiting earmarking. Section 12 on page 7. And let's see, sections 12, 13, and 14, all on page 7, add candidates to provisions related to coordinated and non-coordinated expenditures. Those are all from the admin bill. Section 15 on page 7 is the first provision from Senator Marty's bill on coordinated expenditures and disclaimers. This is a section that specifies that an expenditure that is a coordinated expenditure, but that would otherwise meet the definition of an electioneering communication is considered a coordinated expenditure. Section 16 on page 7 is also from the Marty bill, and this amends the non-coordinated expenditure section. One change that appears here is in the original version there was, excuse me, some changes about how news media was defined, and that provision has been deleted from this bill, or from this amendment. Section 17 on page 8 is from the board admin bill, and this adds language about time for filing reports for special elections held in conjunction with the state primary or state general election, and an immediate effective date has been added here. The next section is 18 on page 10. This modifies requirements for local election reports. Section 19 on page 11 modifies the requirements of the content of campaign reports. A July 1st effective date was added. Section 20 on page 14 specifies campaign report periods. A July 1st effective date was added. Section 21 on page 14 is from the Senator Marty Coordination and Disclaimer Bill. This specifies that if an expenditure is a coordinated expenditure, it's not an electioneering communication. An August 12th effective date was added. And in case you're wondering why August 12th, that's not a typo, that's the day after the state primary. Section 22 on page 16 is another provision from the Marty bill. This makes some clarifying changes to the IE disclaimer language. It also has an August 12th effective date added. Section 23 is from the board admin bill. And this modifies when a candidate may give notice that they will no longer abide by spending limits based on their opponent's report. This has an August 1st effective date added. The next section is section 24 on page 17 from the admin bill. And this section allows the board to impose a late fee to a ballot question political committee or fund that files a report without including the required disclosure statement. And an August 1st effective date was added to that section. Section 25 on page 18 is from the board admin bill. This adds local candidates to the statute on multi-candidate political party expenditures. The next two sections are a merger, appear on page 19 and 20. These modify disclaimers, and they are a merger of the Senator Marty bill and Senator Westlin's address security bill. Section 16 on page 19 modifies the campaign material disclaimer. It modifies both the text of the disclaimer. It allows the provision of an email address instead of a mailing address. And it adds additional language that specifies that for a campaign or a candidate, putting the disclaimer on the website once satisfies the requirements of these section. And it also states that materials posted on a website that are capable of being redistributed must include a disclaimer. And between the merger and some feedback from the Campaign Finance Board, there are several changes that have been made to this section and to the next section as well. Section 27, as I mentioned, are a merger of those same two bills. This section modifies the independent expenditure disclaimer. Paragraph A includes the misdemeanor penalty for a person or committee who violates the disclaimer requirements. The text of the disclaimer is modified. An email address is an option instead of a mailing address, and it specifies that material posted on a website that is capable of being redistributed must have a disclaimer. Section 28 on page 20 is from the Marty Coordination and Disclaimer Bill. This modifies disclaimer requirements for electronic communications, and there were some technical changes here, getting rid of redundant language and changing the name of the Office of Administrative Hearings to the Court of Administrative Hearings because they have changed their name. Section 29 on page 21 is from the Board Admin Bill. This modifies size, duration, and location requirements for signed disclaimers. Like the earlier provision, this consolidated two paragraphs that had the same size requirement for disclaimers. Sections 30 and 31 are both from Senator Westlin's 3893, and this increased penalties for intimidation and interference with the voting process and for interference related to performance of duties by an election official. Senator Boldon, section 32 on page 23 comes from Senator Boldon's local EIS provision, and this requires candidates for Park District Board of Commissioners in the Three Rivers District to file a statement of economic interest, and an immediate effective date was added to that section. Section 33 on page 23 is Senator Boldon's 1915, which requires the board to conduct a study on voluntary campaign spending limits. Section 34 on page 24 is Senator Cran's 4086, which requires the board to conduct a study and pilot project using local candidates using the board's reporting software. Section 35 on page 25 is Senator Boldon's Senate File 828, which establishes the working group on local candidates' campaign finance reporting. Section 36 on page 27 is Senator Marty's 3886, which is a coordination and disclaimer bill, and it repeals a rule on rulemaking linked to a disclaimer. And finally, there is a new section at the very end that provides a default effective date for the article of January 1, 2027, unless otherwise noted. Article 2 is is entirely made up of Senator Westlin's Senate File 3710, which is the bill on address security and additional options for spending campaign funds on security issues. Madam Chair, would you like me to go through this section by section, or just the sections where there's changes?
Why don't you just do I'm sorry, why don't you do the sections where there are changes?
Thank you. So there are only a couple of sections in this provision that where there are changes. The first one is section 14 on page 40. And there's just a small change here. This is a section that's a duplicate section. It appears twice in the bill. So there are some non-related provisions in here because the two sections have been merged, so it's repeated. In section 15 of this bill, there is a strike to a reference to contact address, and it has been replaced with mail address. Judiciary heard the bill after this committee did, and there were two provisions that were added in judiciary. One of those is section 16 on page 42. This classifies street address data as private that are on affidavits of candidacy filed before May 1st, 2026. The next change is to section 22 on page 45 and section 23 on page 45. These are the two provisions that require the local governments and Secretary of State to remove reports and statements from their websites and put them back up. There was language in there about them having a 7-day grace period, and instead of doing that, that was removed, and the effective date is now 7 days after final enactment. In section 23, there were some changes about how the board is to prioritize their work and taking them and replacing the reports on their website. So now it is the reports for the last since January 1st, 2025, and then going back to 2022 and going back beyond that. And then section 24 on page 46 comes from an amendment offered in judiciary, and this provides for transition to new affidavits of candidacy, and then some new language that appears in this DE that allows for nominating petitions to not be considered deficient, to address the concern that if you file a nominating petition that complies with the new law or the old law, you just wanted to make sure that nobody gets caught. So both of these provisions will allow a person to comply with the law as it is today or after the law is enacted. And I'll note that there are two provisions that appeared in the Westlin bill that do not appear in this article, and those are those two provisions related to disclaimers that appeared in Article 1 that were merged, that I already talked about earlier. Section 3 is the election policy article. Article 1 is on page 46. This comes from the Secretary of State admin bill, and this has to do with the notification of administration of absentee and early voting. One change here is that paragraph B was broken into two paragraphs, and an immediate effective date was added. Section 2 on page 47 is about delivery of absentee ballots and agents. That was from the OSS bill. Section 3 on page 49, also from the OSS bill, relates to using the SVRS for all elections. Towns may use the SVRS for March elections, and there's clarifying language that's been rewritten to specify that they may use it for March elections, and if they do, they must comply with the requirements of this section. A new subdivision 1 has been added to specify that if anybody that uses the SVRS must meet technical capacity and other requirements. Section 4 on page 50 comes from the OSS bill. This requires early voting officials to maintain a printed copy of the voter certificate. Section 5 on page 50 is from the OSS bill. This provides specificity on the procedure used for processing absentee ballots. Section 6 on page 51 and section 7 on page 52 come from Senator Boldon's 3703 about presidential eligibility certification. The first of these two sections requires a petition to include a declaration that a candidate satisfies requirements of the Constitution. Section 7 requires the president and vice president to certify that they meet all constitutional requirements. Previously, both of these had an immediate effective date, and that immediate effective date has been removed. Section 8 on page 53 comes from the OSS bill, and it changes the requirement that the OSS must print election law books. This has an immediate effective date added. On page 9, section 53, this includes the I voted sticker contest bill that was previously heard today. Section 10 on page 54 comes from the admin bill, and section 11 on page 54 also comes from the admin bill, and both these sections remove references to color ballots. Section 12 on page 54 and section 13 on page 55 both come from the admin bill, and these are the changes to city canvassing and school district canvassing boards, and they both have an August 1st effective date added. Section 14 on page 56 is from Senator Boldon's presidential eligibility certification, and this requires the party chair to certify that the president and vice president candidates meet constitutional requirements, and the immediate effective date was removed. Section 15 on page 56 comes from the admin bill, and the county ballot questions must be held on a uniform election date. And this section has an immediate effective date that applies to elections held on or after September 1st. Section 16 on page 57 and section 18 on page 58 are both coming from the Senator Boldon bill for the Rochester School Board election that we just heard earlier today. And the effective date was in a separate section in the bill we heard earlier today. That has now been added to section 16 just because there are fewer moving pieces and it's easier to track in an omnibus bill when there's fewer pieces. Section 17 on page 58 is a new section that's been added that relates to the admin bill that allows municipalities to notify counties of intent to administer absentee voting until June 12th this year. And finally, the last section, 19 on page 58, repeals the OSS authority to sell intellectual property rights to the SVRS. And if you're following along on the printed copy, you'll see a funny section 20 that just says section 1 is effective. That was a mistake and should be deleted. And that concludes my walkthrough.
And I'm positive section 1 is in fact very effective. Thank you so much. I do want to acknowledge the considerable work that goes into preparing these bills, and I appreciate staff and especially Ms. Stengel, who worked very hard to shift yesterday when we needed to shift. So we are going to lay this bill over. I know we walked through this, but this will give you a couple of days to have an opportunity to go through it. Bring your questions and comments to Thursday. And so with that, we are laying this bill over. And we have completed our work for the day. We are adjourned.